This image is used to illustrate the infinite monkey theorem, which states that a monkey hitting keys independently and at random on a typewriter keyboard for an infinite amount of time will almost surely type any given text, including the complete works of William Shakespeare. But there is something deeper about language being merely the next token with the highest probability of making sense, as shown by AI. We simply do not think like that. We use symbols as abstractions of experiences to formulate thoughts. Probability plays no role in that process. In the mental experiment, yes, that monkey is eventually going to write something profound. But language is not just the rearrangement of symbols, it is the abstraction of experiences into symbols. That's why I'm instead interpreting this image as follows. Besides that misunderstanding about language and cognition based on the mentioned theorem, which is a mere mathematical exercise, this image reminds us that we are just apes whose greatness, if any, relies on our ability to formulate a symbolic language that propels our cognitive capacities and understanding of our environment. A similar idea is formulated in The Library of Babel, a short story written by Borges. It's about an infinite but cyclic library that contains all the possible arrangements of all the letters of the alphabet, and therefore the library contains in some volume the thoughts of the angels and the history of the universe. This is quite a Platonic thesis. Ideas are out there, already existing, potentially in some combination of the letters. We just have to find them. If that were the case, philosophy would be a stochastic process of discovery instead of a rational one. But that has some philosophical problems. First and foremost, we create language and we give it meaning. So, for example, let's imagine that two different tribes emerge at diametrically opposed points in the library, and each one creates its own language. Then, a book may make perfect sense to one, and none to the other. Or for both, one book makes perfect sense from beginning to end, but for one it means the tale of a hero, and for the other, an ode to the sky. So it's impossible to contain all the possible thoughts of humanity in an infinite library that contains all the possible arrangements of all the letters of the alphabet, because thought is a process under development in which symbols are only a step of that development, not the fundamental one, but maybe the final one. Thoughts are constructed first in the inner subjective experience, then abstracted into words. Words in themselves are nothing without a mind that reads them, and that same mind can read them in different ways depending on the symbolic system. This is the language. That is the same problem as taking the LLM's stochastic treatment of language as a form of thought.